Well, hello and welcome. This is Bill Stearns, NE4RD with Linux in the Ham Shack podcast. You can find us over at lhspodcast.info or in whatever podcasting listening device that you find. We are most likely in there, including the awesome podcast index. So check that out. So we're going to continue our series of getting your Ham Shack computer, ham radio ready, running Linux. The last time I did this was, probably 3 or 4 years ago now. Those videos have gotten lots of views, and they are slightly aged out. Let's use that as the word. My hope was to actually do something completely different, like maybe an Arch distribution and whatnot. But I have been finding out that my little Mac Mini, the Mac Mini mid 2011 version to be specific, is definitely getting aged out. Aged out with with the latest kernels and whatnot. But I've only ever had that problem with Arch distributions. I tried Garuda Linux, I've tried Endeavor OS, and to no avail. They do not boot. They are not happy. And obviously, since it's on a Mac, I can't really do anything different with the BIOS or whatnot. And I'm really not going to troubleshoot it. Ubuntu's been running fine on here. So we're not going to do Ubuntu. We're going to do Fedora 34. And I know if you've been listening to the podcast, you know I've ran into problems with Pipewire on that box. But I'm going to cross my fingers that everything's going to work fine this time, and I'll show you kind of my steps to get my Shack computer back up and running. I have backed up everything off to a different computer, so I have my trusted QSL file. Certification file is out there for my logbook of the world. I have my entire logbook from CQR log and everything else. So we're going to cross our fingers this time that everything just works, and maybe we'll play around with some new stuff too. But this is going to be Fedora 34 on the Mac Mini mid 2011. So let's go over and take a look at the Mac right now at the state it's in, because I had just installed some stuff here. Oh, you know what? I didn't. That system is gone. So let me go ahead and reboot the Mac. So we're booting the Mac up. We're holding down the Alt key or the Option key if you got the Mac keyboard still. And we're going to get that bootloader to pop up here. And since my hard drive is not doesn't have any partitions on it, it knows that that's not even a boot device, so it's going straight to my key here, my thumb drive. And we won't test the media. We'll just go right into Fedora 34. And see if we can get this puppy installed and working. And I did move the logo up a little bit so you can still see it in the video, because I'm all about branding. I just need it out of the way for the next and continue buttons, which you're going to see shortly. So when it boots up, you're presented here with the time, which is not correct, but that's okay. And what we're gonna do, install it to hard drive. So let's go ahead and install this. We don't care about trying it out. We know we want it, so we're gonna click the install to hard drive. Now you can always test this at home with a virtual machine using VirtualBox or one of the many other virtualization technologies out there. If you just want to take it for a spin. Or you can even just run the live install. So let's just take a look at that. Let's go here to this guy, automatic partitioning. It sounds fine. It's found my hard drive here, which is a Samsung. It's a Evo Evo 550 looks like. So it's will be a fast drive for this. The only thing that's not fast, of course, is my internet. So let's just make sure everything's happy with the configuration, which it looks like it is. So I can press the begin installation button. It looks like we're getting Btrfs, so that's good. That should be the default anyway in a Fedora install. Now, there are alternative downloads, so you can get various architectures with the Fedora workstation, or if you want to get a different desktop, they have spins, different desktop environment. They have spins with like XFCE and KDE and a bunch of other windowing managers. And but I've chosen to go with GNOME, which is the default. I'm pretty comfortable with using that. And yeah, it should be the latest, greatest GNOME on here as well. So we'll let this install, and maybe I'll speed it up a little bit. Alrighty, so we've reached the end of this part of the installation. So we're going to click Finish Installation. And I believe all we need to do now is just restart it, and hopefully it'll prompt us to create our user. So we'll see here together, rebooting for the very first time. Bong. Might not even hear the bong here, but it's definitely bonging like any Mac would. Well, that's a good sign. Looks like we're booting into Fedora. Okay, so yeah, once you have the base system installed, it's going to prompt you to go ahead and finish the setup. So we're going to do this. Do you want to allow things to automatically report? You can option to turn these on or off, doesn't matter. Connect your online accounts. I'm going to skip this step right now because I don't need to do that. And this is the part that is all about you. So you'll type in your name and whatever username you want. And I have my username. Here's also where you could do an enterprise login if you happen to have an Active Directory server or an LDAP server or something like that running. You could definitely do that there. Let's see here. Give myself a password. Yes, it's a very weak password. I only use it in the house here. Okay, so with that weak password, we are all set and done. We're going to go right in here to Fedora for the first time. And welcome to GNOME 40, or 4, right? 40? I guess GNOME 40, right? Do we want to take a tour? Nah, we don't care about no stinking tour. So what do you do the very first time you're into Fedora here? Oh, boy. Well, you can go up here to the top, and this is your basically your workspaces, and your apps are already set up here. You have kind of like a little bar down here. If you want to see all the applications, you can click that button. So you have your 2 workspaces, all your apps, and everything else. So what I'm going to do is basically just go right into the terminal, because you know how much I love doing stuff in the terminal. We're going to go ahead and zoom this in so you can see it a little bit better. So there we go. First thing we're going to do is we're going to use a sudo command, and we're going to update the system. So we're going to run dnf update. It'll prompt you for your password. And yes, my internet is slow. I hate you, Comcast. So. enjoying my coffee here because it's not 12 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock. Oh yeah, there you go. The time adjusted fine. So yeah, it is syncing time now properly. And we can see that doing that also triggered the GUI version of the software updates, software updater to run. So yeah, you could come up here and run the GUI utility. I'm pretty much a guy that likes to run the command line utilities. Your mileage may vary. You can choose whatever you want. As you can see, tons of updates because this is right off the brand new disk. So we're going to go ahead and let this go, and maybe we'll fast forward it so you don't have to watch my slow internet and system go. So we're going to go ahead and let it run, and we'll see you back here in a second. Alrighty, so it completed everything here. One more thing I'm going to do. I'm just going to install Neofetch if it's not here, just because I want to show you just the specs of this old Mac. We'll just go ahead and install that real quick. Okay, so here we'll just go ahead and get rid of the screen noise there. We'll just run Neofetch, take a look at what we got here. So as you can see, this is running Fedora 34 now. It's my Mac Mini, mid 2011 again. And look, we got 1,756 packages already, lots of packages. And I see I'm running 720p. I can probably bump that up. I do have this set up to go higher, but we'll just leave it like that for now. It's probably easier for you to read even when I upscale this back to 1080p. So yeah, and you can see the hardware. It is an i5. It's a second generation i5, so it's slower than snot, but perfect for a shack pewter. And of course, it has the AMD Radeon old graphics card. So anyway, that's kind of what it is. So a couple of things I like to do, which will aid in getting applications on here, is I like to install some of the build tools, and we've talked about this on one of our episodes, installing build tools to do any development or source package compiling and stuff like that. So inside of here, the DNF package manager, you have the ability to do a group install, and we're going to put this in quotes, and we need a development tools, and development libraries. This is kind of like can't spell libraries, right? Yeah, that looks right. And these are kind of like your meta packages inside of Ubuntu and Debian. So this one has 150 packages related to that. So let's just go ahead and run this real quick. Alrighty, the build tools are on there. And geez, what else can we do? Like the other thing we're going to need, since this is Fedora, that makes it much easier to grab packages and stuff like that, is we're going to need RPM Fusion. So let's go into our web browser here. We'll just bring up Firefox. And look at that. The fire starts here. And we're going to do RPM Fusion. So we're going to go there. rpmfusion.org is the website. And let's see if we can get the RPM Fusion on our Fedora 34 system put on here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, enable. RPM Fusion for 34. Okay, so we're going to download the RPM for that. Sorry. Let's go ahead and run the software install on that. So we'll go ahead and restart that. Yes, yes, yes. So there's that. Yes, we want to enable third-party repositories. So now let's do this. RPM Fusion. Let's bring that up with software installer. And then we'll just install that. It'll prompt us for our password. We'll run that real quick. And that's in there now. And then we'll also want to get the non-free. And we'll pop that in here. And we'll install that as well. Okay, so now that's all done. So that gets us our two things that we need to get this base installation going. And I think this thing needs one more thing here. I think it needs a better background because the wallpaper here is just really, it's so blah. I think we need to get something, I don't know, maybe a little sexier, like maybe this. Sure, let's see. We want to fit, and that's good. Let's set that as our desktop background, and I think that actually worked. So let's just take a quick look at it. Our new sexiness here. Let's bring up this. And we're going to go over to the other workspace if we want. Oh, yeah. Look how good that is. That's really good. So, good. We have our background in place. Now I think we're in a good spot. We could just reboot if we wanted to. However, that's not really needed. We do need to do one user mod in here, so let's do that. This will help us access serial devices. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding my user NE4RD to the dial-out group. So I'm appending user permissions with a group of dial-out. If you do that wrong, you will be locked out of everything. So if we look at our groups file, we should see that we have a dial out somewhere in here. Yep, there it is, dial out group, and there I am attached to it now. So that tells me we're all set to go. In order for that permission to work, we need to go ahead and get out of this session and start a new session. So you can either log out or reboot. I'm just going to go ahead and just to test to make sure all of our updates are good and everything else, that I'm going to reboot it. So we'll just do a shutdown TAC-R now. So that's one way to shut down. You can do a sudo reboot. You can also come up here to the power button and say restart. And yes, restart. So we'll go ahead and let that restart, and we'll be back in a second. So there we go. This is our first real boot of the system, all updated. And let's see if everything sticks. Sure enough, there we are. We're prompted here in our start menu to go. And yeah, I think we're off to the races with this. So this will be video 1 of getting the computer ready, and this is the first part, was getting the base system kind of up and ready to go where it needs to be. The next one, we're going to actually start installing applications, and yeah, we're going to start with logger and rig control and all that good stuff. So I'll see you in the next video.